People that how's it doing? So just what to say, enough is enough. And first of all, just want to mention the protest is outside Dáil Éireann on the 10th of October. If I'm right, I might be wrong in saying that, but it's on the 10th at least. I remember on the top of my head. Just wanted to say that because it's kind of the same slogan, enough is enough. As you've seen today, the government, TDs, have decided, in the infinite wisdom, as the same as they always decide for they don't ask the Irish people to just do it themselves. Isn't that quite a great country? They give themselves a 2% pay rise, yes. And an only TD in Dáil Éireann gets how much? 94,000. Oh, very fancy, isn't it? Very fancy. You get a lot of things for 94,000, wouldn't you? For sitting up in Dáil Éireann, and sometimes not even paying your vow tab in Dáil Éireann. You leave it to the taxpayer to pay it, to flip the bill. Same with everything, you get expenses, like they get ridiculous expenses. So one county councillor I seen down the country got nearly 100,000 expenses for doing, I don't know what he was doing, but he got 100,000 expenses for going travel expenses, and I don't know where he was travelling to. And then people in Shannon paid 4.2 million of our money to them for travel during lockdown when they were saying they're travelling around here, there and everywhere. And we give them the money happily. Nobody stood against that. Nobody said boo about it. The media said nothing. Media talked about it for a few minutes and said, they're entitled. Again, 2% pay rise added on to 94,000, added on to a minister's salary. At least I would say this about Sinn Féin. Sinn Féin are not going to take it. At least they have some kind of smile. At least I hope they're not. Hope they're not doing it behind the scenes. But again, there's a few shady characters in Sinn Féin. Because was in Sinn Féin for a while. And obviously there's some good people. There's some good people that don't understand the Sinn Féin look nice on the front page, but in the back page, it's not the best. But yeah, I would hope that at least I would say well done if they don't take it, because again, I know businesses in Cavan across the country that had to close their doors, and some of them are closed and never going to open again. 100 years, 300 years businesses, pubs down in the middle in villages that are ancient, that have been going for years and hundreds of years, and they have to close it because they can't afford. I'm thankful the pubs are open now, which is great. But yeah, it's just a sin. It's really a sin to see that the government, like, it's it's wrong. It's totally wrong. Like, anybody who says, like, the journalists, the blue ticks on Twitter are like, yay, government, you deserve it. Every Monday, at least if Sinn Féin doesn't take it, I'd be a bit happy, because again, any TD who takes this to a 2% rise, they took three rises in 10 months. Can anybody see the hypocrisy in this? And there was supposed to be a pandemic. Businesses shut. Some of them are never going to open again. Some of them don't even have the staff. As we mentioned there, there's a business I know had 15 people employed. Couldn't afford to pay them. Honest to God, these people are decent, very, very decent people. Have local people, employ local people, try and employ young people to give them a chance in getting to college, things like that. They give them money for going to college and things like that. That's very decent, and I'm sure people would agree with me. That's very decent. And then people, and I know the local authorities in Cavan give them as much as they could. They got 99,000 grant from Cavan County Council for restarting their business and everything, because they were deeply affected. Lost huge amount of profits. So at least 9,000 give them a bit of a head start. And obviously I thank Cavan County Council for doing that. Because it was a decent bit of money, and obviously they made a few exceptions. But unfortunately, again, they had to cut their staff down. They had 15 people, now they only have 3. And again, they didn't want to do that. Because these people are going to college. These people have working for their work and going to college. Again, it's difficult. It's very, very difficult to meet the costs. And they're giving them a chance in life to go up the stage, and that's very decent of them. I'm sure again, this is what me, Whole Martin, and the West Ham should be taking of these businesses that are hard working businesses that care about people, not like this government. This government just cares about themselves, and then apart from that, they couldn't care about anybody else. They care about their friends in the media. They care about them. They care about the bankers. They care about the bondholders. They care about nobody. They don't care about any other Irish person that doesn't have anything to do with the government. As long as they get the taxpaying money, the money out of you. Then the simple as that. Couldn't care less. Couldn't care. And the simple as that. You think they would say, it's a shame that we would do this. It's disgraceful. It's utterly disgraceful that we even think about this. This even go through our heads that we're going to give ourselves a 2% rise. It's shameful. Again, this is what they should be talking about. They should be talking about the amount of people out of work because of this. Again, 15 people, 3 people only employed, and then there's a good lot of people out of work from that business alone. They might not get work again. They might be on job seekers allowance or whatever. And again, it's really hard. It's hurting families, and then cutting the COVID unemployment payment. That's really just the backbone that's keeping people alive. And they're cutting that, and then they're giving themselves a 2% rise. Can anybody see what I'm talking about? Because again, enough is enough. When do we say enough is enough? Because my God, this is totally wrong. Like again, after what they did in Golfgate and everything, and you're giving them these clowns a 2% rise, and you think they would go to the Irish people and say, did the Irish people think that we deserve this? And everybody would say no. Everybody would say no. Because again, they wouldn't affect it. They took no pay cut. Everybody else in the country probably would have to pay ridiculous sums of tax. Property tax, for example. In Cavan, I understand, we lost 9 million of this deficit in Cavan County Council's funding. That we have to go, if we don't get the money, and I might as well say straight, we have to cut back hugely on dealing with illegal upgrading roads. We have to cut back hugely. And I might as well say straight, we can't afford it. Simple as that, we can't afford to sustain anything if we don't get some kind of income from the property tax. And so it's going up by 15%. The same, I don't know in Dublin, I think Dublin we're talking about it. But I'm sure people understand that we have to do it. We don't want to do it, but we have to. It's the only way we can go. And again, to think about this money, this 15% extra being added onto the property tax is going to these clowns in Dáil that's getting 2% pay rise. That makes me throw up my stomach, to be honest with you. Because it's disgusting. It's disgusting that they put themselves first. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. They have no shame. Simple as that. Have no shame. Simple as that. Like again, any TD who doesn't take this, I pat you in the back and say, at least you have some kind of morals. At least you have some kind of respect for people who lost their jobs, people who lost everything during this. At least you have some kind of decency. And again, I'm sure people will agree with me. Any TD or any person that's in Dáil that doesn't take the 2%, go up to them and say fair play. Simple as that, fair play. Because you have a bit of decency. They say, I'm not going to take it. People are at work, I'm not going to take it. Why should I? Simple as. And fair play to the people who don't. But the people who do, any TD, and you should be shamed. You should be kicked out of Dáil. You should be kicked out of the government. You should be kicked out of every party if you take that money. Because again, you have enough of it. Really, 94,000 a year. That'll do you fine. I'm sure the God you won't be spending that very quickly. And then along with expenses, like my God, you're living the life so O'Reilly. Because again, enough is enough. Like when it's enough is enough, when the people say, you know what, put it towards the people, put it towards the businesses that are struggling, put it towards mental health services. Because in Cavan, we keep getting the same bloody answer. When the suicides in Cavan are going through the roof, like my Christ. And I'm trying to keep calm, because some of these days I will explode. I will explode in a rage. Because again, too many lives, and I will say this straight, too many lives have been lost in Cavan over the last 10 months. Too many young, innocent lives have been taken due to suicide. If the help was there, they might be still alive. As simple as that. And I can't stress it enough that it's something very serious that needs to be funded. And it's something very, very wrong in this society to see that the government are getting the money. And these people who are desperate, on the edge of their life, they need help. They need money. They need support. And the government says, we fund ourselves. We don't fund the people. We don't care about the people who need the money. Like, I'm trying to keep very, very calm, because you can see me, I'm wearing up now. I'm really, really about to wear. And enough is, again, I'm not going to say anymore. Some of these days I will explode. Simple as that, I will explode. And God help the Department of Health when I explode. Because some of these days I will explode, because enough is enough. Every week I'm messaging them, saying, begging them for some extra resources for mental health services in Cavan and Monaghan. And they won't, and half of the time I get no response. And this is a concerned citizen, worried about people's lives in Cavan and Monaghan, about young lives especially. And they don't respond. They don't take the time out of the day to respond. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And the other times they couldn't care less. When I get an email, we just don't have the funds. We just don't have the funds. Saying, we can't do anything. We can't do anything. This is again, enough is, honestly, my head's going to blow up if I talk anymore about it.